Rebellions are built on hope.
And welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Alberto Calderon, with no Oti today, but that's fine. We're joined by a good friend, co-host of the Sithty Minutes Podcast, is Andres Alvarez. Andres, how are you doing today on this Star Wars Saturday, as we like to call them?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well also. We were talking a little bit before we started, all looking forward to the weekend. It's been busy weeks all around, work, extracurricular activities and all that. But man, Andor's keeping us during the week. Is that the little jolt that we need during the week, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually really, and we'll definitely get into it when we get into the show. But I find myself accidentally seeing the latest episode like 3 to 5 times a week, and I just keep coming back to it. For Star Wars shows, for some reason, after the season is over, I don't go back and rewatch them for some reason. I think this is the first one that if I say, oh, you know what, I'm going to rewatch the whole thing, not just one episode here and there, I think you got to do the whole season all over because it's just been on point since the beginning. Absolutely.
All right, before we start, as always, let me check with our friend Mo. What's up,
Hey,
Mo?
Mo?
She was here last week as our guest. Great insight as always, and it's always great to see her in the chat. All right, guys, you know what's next. A little bit of housekeeping. If you're watching this now, thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the new episodes as they drop every Saturday at 5. Comment down below if you're watching this later, and let us know in the comments. And subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, all that fun stuff. You know, if you're watching YouTube, you know what the deal is. Just a few other things. If you're watching, again, as always, make sure to help out the Amidala Initiative for Equality Texas. Very important. Midterms are coming up in 2 weeks everywhere around the country. Here in Florida, also very important. National Network of Abortion Funds and the What Choice fundraiser. And of course, you can help out in Puerto Rico. There's a bunch of links. Some are running down there. And at the description of this video, you can find links to all those websites and fundraisers. Spread the voice. Sign up to vote, sign up with other people, and make sure you vote because that's how change happens, and it's very important right now. All right, so Andres, I think let's not wait anymore. If you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars and the Andor Files. And my computer is not working. Here we go. And the Andor Files.
I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old.
Has he had to fight? Really? Yeah, no, Oti makes sure to ask during every episode, has he? Because he wasn't 6 when Marda took him. It doesn't matter. Marda, Mira, I forget. There's too many names right now.
Yeah.
But
I am curious if like maybe he considers, because there's been a lot of good conversation online as far as like the Republic already being like same flavor of ice cream, just a different label on it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that'll be like a later reveal of like him coming maybe across a file while he's doing his work and realizing like that's what they were mining or that's what destroyed Kanari.
Yeah, right. Because Kanari was in the best shape when we saw it at the beginning of the season. Like they've already been mining there. So maybe he's talking about even before he was in the fight, like the Republic, the Empire, whatever it was at that point, was already there and he had to fight at that point. So maybe he's right and we're all wrong. But Andres, as I ask all my guests when they come here first for a new show, just give me overall, have you been your feelings for the season so far of Andor? And then your overall thoughts on episode 7 before we move into more specifics of the episode.
Yeah, for sure. So Andor has basically been just one of my dreams come true as far as what I want to see from Star Wars. Like, you know, Sithty is Star Wars and politics, and all the films and shows that we've gotten before kind of make references to it. Like it's there. There are political elements, but Andor is really that first show. And, you know, with Mon Mothma and Luthen in the mix, like that is really taking the time to talk about hey, how do you fund a rebellion? What does rebellion actually mean? Like it's protesting is a part of it, but like there is also a point where you have to steal payroll information to
Yeah.
know where the spies are. You need to poke around, and it's been really nice to see that, and like to see each episode where they're leaning more and more into it has really gotten me excited, because I was also afraid that like they would put Mon Mothma maybe in like 1 or 2 arcs and be like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, politics are happening, and then go back to like, look at Andor
Mhm.
blowing stuff up. So it's nice that they're doing both.
Mhm.
For the latest episode, I argued in my review, like, you could have probably taken the first 2 arcs and made them into a crawl. I'm not saying that that's the best move. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if you just showed me episode 7 as the beginning, and it's like the crawl tells me that the Aldhani heist happened, and then you just pan down and start showing everyone kind of reacting to it,
Mhm.
that would have easily fit. Like, I would have believed it if that was a movie or something. So I love it. To me, it feels like the core of Star Wars, and just like what all of these characters who we already know where they're going to end. Like, Mon Mothma will one day become a rebel general, but like, I loved seeing her feathers get ruffled, and thinking that she was just, hey, I thought we were just going to make Black Lives Matter stickers. And like, Luthen's like,
No.
no, that was part of it, but like, that was definitely not the opening move that we were hoping for.
Yeah, I agree. Even though I love the first 6 episodes, I by the end of episode 6 or coming into it, I was kind of worried that this 3 episode arc, kind of this format, was kind of might get old, and we'll see with the final 5 episodes, because it's okay, especially the second arc, the Aldhani arc, that the first 2 episodes a lot of setup, and I don't mind it because the writing was great, the conversations, everything worked. But you're like, okay, let's get to the finale of that arc. It's a little bit more action, but still, it moves the story forward with all the characters. And it will have kind of parallel A New Hope, kind of telling you this heist happened, and now these are the consequences. But I enjoyed, and I kind of agree also with them, the way that they've gone, especially the first 3 episodes. I said here, if this was The Mandalorian or something like that, those 3 episodes, they would have done it in a 30-minute episode. Like, this is the new character. He goes to a planet to meet people for a heist, and here it is. So, but we got 3 episodes to kind of know all the characters and all the setting. But by the time we get to episode 7, we kind of know what's going on. And I agree with you. If they would have said, yeah, Mon Mothma, you saw in the trailer, that's everything you're getting. It's like, really? No, that's not what this show should be about. We talked here before, and when this show was announced, I said what I want to see is the Empire being the Empire, the normal people working in it because it's their 9 to 5 job. And we're seeing that, especially with Cyril Karn and the way he is now. So seeing both sides, it's not just the rebel side, but also the imperial side. And yeah, once you steal some money, that's when they get angry, because they've been losing all these artifacts. But as soon as you take their credit, it's like, whoa, 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 we gotta close that fist.
Yeah.
But Andres, I'm gonna be jumping a little bit. We gotta go to the ending. Let's start with the ending, because that's where a lot of people are kind of focusing. And again, you mentioned your show, so I'm sure you're spending a lot of time on it. But we get Andor, and again, if you're watching this, you've watched the episode. So the heights happen. The Empire kind of said, "Okay, we're done playing. We're gonna show our force." But for Andor, he's like, "I just stole some credits. I'm just gonna retire, go to this paradise, like you said on one of your tweets, that a lot of us know, this beach paradise that you think you can just escape, but the police presence doesn't let you." But he thinks he's scot free. I got my money. I found a new girl somewhere. We're partying. I'm just gonna go to the store. And as soon as something happens, they see someone that kind of looks like he shouldn't be there. What are you doing here? I'm just gonna read real quick what the trooper tells him. Oh, you're sweaty. Are you part of it? Why are you running? Tourists don't run. And then, calm down, sir. And that's the one we've heard a lot from people when they get confronted by police. Oh, calm down. I'm just talking. Oh, calm down, calm down. And everything goes off the rail. What was that scene like for you? Not just personally, but also seeing something in Star Wars that relates so much to real life.
Yeah, it definitely made me like perk up. You know, what's interesting is with episode 7, it's the beginning of another arc, and presumably this is like a prison arc because that's where he's going. But I did not expect to be like standing up like in my seat so much at the end, because you go to the end of the first episode in the Aldhani raid and you're like, okay, I get what's happening, but like show me the next episode, or like I'll wait. So from a show perspective, it was very much like, okay, they're gonna go there, like this is definitely a political show, and it just happens to be themed with Star Wars characters and blasters. As someone who also does like a little bit of like protest photography and working with different nonprofits, like it was also so fascinating how real and believable that exchange was, even though it was happening in space, right? Like you don't have to change too much to make it believable for like a space show. And you know, I like during the 2020 protests, like for folks who don't know, I'm a first generation immigrant, so I'm naturalized, all that fun stuff. But like the Trump administration would challenge people's naturalization papers. So there was more than one occasion where I had been at an action or around different groups, and knowing that police were coming put me in a spot where like I would tell my partner, like, hey, we have to go. Like, she was born in Chicago and has her birth certificate and all that fun stuff. So I was like, you're fine. But like, if someone decides to do what that judge did in the end of Andor episode 7, you know, I mean, she says, take it up with the emperor, right? Like it could have been a clerical error, but like, you're going to have to go through the court system like everyone else if you want to. So yeah, that was very much a moment of like, okay, like immigrants are writing the show. Like Diego Luna isn't just an executive producer to have his name on there. Like there are conversations that are being had about how do we let people know that like Empire is this sinister thing that most people don't feel until it's right up on you, right? Like Andor really thought that like he's just back to like he found his new Bix, he found his new Ferrix, like that's just where he's gonna hang out. And, you know, now that insidious empire that he's like, I'm not really fighting, but I'm not really proud of them either, has literally thrown him into a cage for thinking that he could just, you know, dance through that middle line.
Yeah, he heard that that theme music going into Niamos, and he thought, I'm scot-free. I'm just gonna have some party, some Copacabana music. Everything's fine, but there were some prop droids flying. People weren't happy. Amy, thanks for being here. Amy Guerra, our friend.
Yeah, and like honestly, the last time he heard that song, he killed some corpos and got in trouble. So like personally, if I heard that song, I'd be like, I'd go somewhere else. Like, why not Hoth? I know he's Spanish, but like he could have just been hanging out on Hoth.
Yeah, some cool coats. I'm sure they can keep him warm.
Yeah, we've seen Rogue One. I know he's got one of those coats out there.
Yeah, with that fur. It's not funny, but I was on another show yesterday for the Geeky Waffle and the Space Waffles. Will come out at some point later. And it's how real this show is in terms of showing what's happening in real life from the past, from right now. Some of the hosts from that show are from Iran and know what's going on now with the Iranian people and all the protests there. Another one of the hosts is South Asian, with her parents and her grandparents having to immigrate because of things happening down there. So it's how this show has impacted a lot of us as Hispanics. I know, you see me for the first time, I'm just a regular white guy, but I'm from Puerto Rico, and as soon as I open my mouth, people start asking, are you Italian? Are you from this? Where are you from? I've been asked, not menacingly, but hey, do you need a green card? It's like, no, we're natural American citizens as soon as we're born, even if we want to or not. So, but I haven't, thankfully, been to that extreme that Cassian went. But it's always there. As soon as you open your mouth, I might look like this, but as soon as I open my mouth, people are gonna, okay, wait, where is this guy from? Is he supposed to be here? And sometimes the eye starts kind of looking kind of with the corner of the eye. So it's how this show has impacted a lot of us, a lot of people from different reasons. All the rebellion, all the police brutality. We've seen it or know people have been through it. But it's not have been like, it's just hammering over it. Like, come on, it's not sincere. It's like they know what they're doing. Like you said, with Diego Luna being one of the producers and other people, they know what they're doing to show this. Yes, it's Star Wars, but it also impacts real life. And I think they've been doing a great job.
Yeah, I think like that's the one thing that I love talking to Star Wars fans about, of the more you try to overlay those lessons, like the original trilogy is referred to in universe as a galactic civil war,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's how
military
it
property
starts.
gets blown up, like people who just got recruited and went into the Empire because they have dental or, you know, whatever benefit you want to give them, like they will all go to war. And like that is because things like this are happening. And, you know, maybe this is a great transition to the ISB, but like Deidre sees it. Like
Hmm.
the Empire is really full of itself, and like we're totally prepared for this moment.
Yeah.
And Deidre in that whole scene, and even as her like attendant and stuff is asking like, "Oh, you don't look happy." She's just like,
Yeah.
this is what they want, right? Because
Hmm.
before, the rebellion propaganda could have been seen as just propaganda, like, oh yeah, you say they're bad, but like Ferrix has never been happier or whatever.
Hmm.
And like now that table is going to start getting flipped, and the rebellion can now legitimately point and be like, hey, half of your friends have been in jail for 10 years because they were jaywalking
Hmm.
near something that was deemed anti-imperial, and then just got slapped with a 6 to 10 year fine or like sentence. And yeah, it's becoming really brutal, but that is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And you know, if you read the books and stuff, there's constantly mentions, like if you've seen Rebels, there's constantly arcs where they're breaking into imperial prisons, and like Andor is just laying that groundwork of like, there's a reason the rebels are always going into prisons, because a lot of people got imprisoned right up
Yeah.
until that
And
period for
yeah, if I'm not
sleeping.
mistaken, they take political prisoners in Rebels. I think they took a governor or something from one of the planets. So it's there. Yeah, it's animation. It's a kid show. It's got cool lightsaber fights, but it's there. Here, it's right in front. But yeah, let's go right into the ISB because that's where it all starts. It's okay. We've let some other things pass. We lost 80 million credits. They hit us where it hurts, attacked us directly. It's not that they stole one thing from wherever. So we have that great scene. Okay, Yularen comes in. We'll talk about him in a minute. I missed it. Call me a fake fan. That's fine. I was more interested in Deidre deciding which of the two similar codes she was going to get. But that's why I say that Deidre is my favorite character of the new ones, even though she's one of the bad guys. Because she's real. And she's, like you said, since the beginning of the series, she knows. She's the only one in the know that doesn't take this lightly. It's like, no, they have a plan. This is how I will do it. Take a little bit from here, a little bit from there. And when her assistant, oh, you're not happy. No, this is what they wanted. It wasn't just a robbery. It was an announcement. Oh, we're here. But everyone's, oh no, they took our credits. We're going to close our face. Our press is going to be everywhere. Triple the sentence of everyone. That's what the rebels want, because now they can point to us as being the real bad guys. That's what they want. And I love that she's the only one that gets it, because it shows her thinking as a rebel, not as an imperial. And then I also love her. The actress is great. And then the guy that plays Blevin, the other guy,
Oh, yes.
I love that scene, because if you've worked in a job environment with different managers or whatever, you have those type of meetings that someone wants to bring something in. Oh, this isn't the place to talk about it. Let's talk about it in private. And then, oh, do you think this is the right venue to express your grievance against a fellow whatever supervisor? Oh, yes, she's overstepping, and then she throws it in his face. Oh, I love when Partygas kind of goes, oh, Deidre, do you mind having your
Yeah,
whatever
like your integrity ventilated.
yeah, in public or what? I love that scene. All the ISB scenes are great, but I love that. And then she gets what she wants at the end, which is kind of overview of the Molana sector. But then he goes, hey, great job, but watch your back. We might all be working together, but he's coming for you. But are you enjoying those scenes? Because we're getting to see not just political side in the Senate, but how the Empire works, the inner workings with the ISB. It doesn't have to be the Palpatines and the Tarkins. It's the real job that's happening. I love those scenes.
Yeah, I have been really enjoying those scenes. I think for me in episode 7, seeing that kind of like office politics play out was just really, really fascinating. Specifically because like Blevin is so by the book, right?
Yeah.
And he's kind of worked his way up there. He's got his
Mhm.
sectors and whatever. But Deidre is exactly who the ISB needs. And
Mhm.
you know, again, we're talking about villains. So yeah, that means something, that she's exactly who the ISB needs. but she makes a lot of great points. And again, it speaks to, like, it bleeds over. And it's like, are we talking about Star Wars or is this real
Yeah.
life? Because, you know, she challenges all the supervisors of, do you really think the rebels care about the lines that we draw on maps, right? Like, they're not attacking bases because, like, oh, we hate Supervisor Blevin, so we're going to go ahead and make his life a mess. Like, no, they, if anything, they probably know that you've structured yourselves based on these sectors. And Deidre's the only one who's figured it out of, like, they're taking a little bit from each spot. So none of you think it's a big deal because it's one star path. It's one, like, crate of proton torpedoes or whatever. But you turn around and suddenly they have enough to, like, take care of a whole army, right? And it really just kind of shows of the Empire's not ready. The Empire does not know or like see it coming. But Deidre is super aware, and she's seeing those kind of deficiencies, right? Like, even when everyone else, like, the Empire is so much about hierarchy and respect, that even when she makes the suggestion that they shouldn't be thinking about the sectors as, like, individual things, they're all kind of, like, put aghast, and they're just like, oh, but Colonel Pendergrass made that. And she's just like, yeah, as an organizing principle, not your little personal portfolio or whatever you think this is.
Yeah, I love that scene because he thought, Blevin, oh, I'm just going to say Portugas drew this, he's our boss. You can't say that our boss was wrong. The rebels don't care. Like you said, lines on a map, who cares? We're going to jump right through them and get what we want and just kind of spread it, which is the same thing. Like you said, you're taking a little bit from everywhere. And then at the end, when you bring that together, it kind of forms something. In Rebels, they did the same thing. They stole some fuel from here. They stole a ship from here. And whatever, when you start bringing all that together, oh, actually it meant something. Yeah, she's the only one that notices, and that's why I love her so much. But then moving forward, I'm guessing for the next few episodes, now that she has the Molana sector and Ferrix, she'll start looking more for the NS path, know that Cyril Khan was involved with it, brings him into the fold, gets him out from his new cubicle, and now the two of them together are going to create chaos going after Cassian.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Cyril is the hype man that Deidre needs. Like, she has her ISB assistant who, like, you know, follows orders.
Just taking notes.
Yeah, takes notes, like, is willing to support her or whatever. But I would love for her to meet Cyril, and Cyril be like, oh, an opportunity to go catch these bad guys, and just eggs her on. I'm
sure that's going to happen. It's going to be great. Oh man, I can't wait. It works great for both because, like you said, she needs someone to kind of push her in the right direction where everything was going and give her a focal point. Andor, this is the guy we need to go behind. And for Zero, it's just finding someone to, yes, I can attach my anchor to this person. She'll take me out from here and I'll be able to expunge my record because I'm so angry. So they killed two of my co-workers and the other guy, dude, just sit on your cubicle and find out the
fuel
concurrency of fuel purity or whatever. Was the Bureau of Standards. That sounds so bad. But that cubicle, I said it, that's a cool setup. I don't know.
It's really nice. And judging by, you know, haven't been able to see the cubicle up close. But that being said, I feel like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's definitely one of those ergonomic, like, split keyboards too. Yeah. So I was like, that must be a very comfortable place to spend 8 to 9 hours or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably more. They won't let you go out. When they pull back, it's just filled with cubicles, no windows anywhere. Probably tell you have 30-minute lunch and you got to eat at your desk.
Yeah, it's probably a droid that brings it too, so you can't even make conversation. It's just like, here's your sandwich, and like it just moves on.
Yeah, and you don't even get to choose this. Every day they'll bring you something, you gotta eat it.
Yeah.
All right, the Scuttlebutt podcast is here. Probably Ro. How you doing, Ro? Thanks for joining us. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on episode 7. I know that he's been enjoying it. But we talked a little bit about Andor and how he thought that just getting 30,000 credits, that was his cut, I believe, was gonna save everything. I'm back on Ferrix. I'm paying my debts. I'm taking my mom out of here. I'm going to go to Big's house, see what happened with that crazy boyfriend that tried to kill me. And everyone's like, what the hell are you doing here? You don't know what you brought. The Empire's here. They're taking things serious. And he's like, don't worry. We'll just go out and do it. Everyone might turn you in right now because we're all suffering. He's like, it was just a robbery. Mm-hmm. So did you enjoy that scene between him and Mira with his mom kind of, hey, let's go? And she's like, I can't. What happened on Aldhani kind of boosts me up. I finally have the courage again to walk down the street where my husband was hanged. And Andor doesn't understand it. No, let's get out of here. She's like, no, if they can fight and be courageous, I can stand here. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what's going to turn Andor into the rebel. And no, he's still like, I don't get it. I'm leaving. I'm like, dude, come on, that rousing speech.
Yeah, I loved it. I especially love the acting because, no one knows where Andor went on Ferrix. They just know that the Corpos came and he just hightailed it out of there. So the acting in that scene is incredible because Marva is telling Andor, right? Like, have you heard about the Aldhani heist? So inspiring. The rebels did it. And, she doesn't know what it cost for that heist to succeed. And the Empire doesn't know because even the news reports are like, we're still finding, we need information. We need to know who was behind it. But as the audience, we know only 3 people even made it out. So it's this very they barely made it out, and the Empire thinks that they're hunting down a well-regulated militia or something. So it's like Marva's inspired. Her acting is very much like, I'm ready. Let's go. If they can do it, I can do it. And you can see in Diego Luna and Andor's eyes what it took. And he's like, okay, that's great that you thought it was all that, but we literally barely made it out with our lives. So this isn't the victory you think it is. This isn't the war you think it is. And as a typical Spanish son, he couldn't tell Marva that. He was just like, I'm not going to tell you why I don't believe that. I just want to let you know that I don't believe that. And then just decides to move on. So it's very it is very interesting because it just reminds me a lot of how media covers these victories or these movements and then what it actually feels like to go through them, because it's not easy work, but if you read the history books, Rosa Parks refused to get up and then equality happened, right? And
we're kumbaya, everyone's holding hands and we're all happy.
Everyone saw the error of their ways and was like, no, we need better laws.
But the next box that came around, everything was fine.
That's right. So it was very interesting to see how that plays out, and especially for someone like Marva to still be inspired, because I want to know more of that flashback. What was she doing with Clem back when they were running around? Because she knows about hard lives, she knows about hard choices, and something about the Aldhani heist still made her ready to get either back into that life, because she's always had her guns and stuff. It was just very, very well done acting.
It was great from both sides. And like you said, we don't know too much about her past, Marva and Clem. We see them, they saw a wrecked ship, basically went in to grab something. The separatists were coming, or the Republic at that point, they grab Andor, hightail it. And then we know that Clem got shot trying to stop people from throwing rocks at clone troopers. We don't know how involved they're being in this rebellion or whatever. It seems like they're very into it. But like you said, it's for Andor, it was a robbery. Only 3 of us made it out. I almost died because I got betrayed by this guy after we made it out. Freaking Skin kind of killed me because he didn't care. He's fighting his own rebellion against me, against everyone else. I don't want to keep going through this. I got my cut. Just get out of here. But then I love her when he's kind of saying, oh, but what's here? What's keeping you here? She, oh, the rebellion. And for him, come on, you can't fight them. And she said, I can't do that if I don't stand up or something like that. It's like, oh, she's ready to go. But then we learn more about that flashback. I'm going to guess about 10 years ago or something. The Empire's there on Ferrix, has to be real close after Order 66 because there's still clone troopers, or at least the armor, they weren't stormtroopers. On Ferrix, Clem's kind of, hey, stay here, I gotta stop this. And unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time. We've seen that before. Rock goes flying through the air, and then 4 clone troopers turn around and didn't shoot him, hang him, and I don't know how many more people. Pretty severe to see that, and also kind of shows why Andor might not be ready to join the fight at this point, because he knows what happens, right? My dad got hung just because he was there. What is going to happen when they figure out that I was one of the 3 that robbed them? So even though I just said, hey, how didn't Marva's speech kind of propel you to join the rebellion or to stand up? On the other side, okay, I kind of understand. You've seen what happens when people stand up and you're kind of in the middle of it. So I understand why he just, hey, I did my part. I got lucky. I just want to go and party. And then we know what happens over there, unfortunately. So let's finish up with what's the name of the planet? Niamos. And then we'll keep going because he's there. We get a bunch of aliens. I've been calling for my aliens in Andor. We got them. And I love that scene. I don't know how many millions had to go into because there's aliens everywhere. Said that they constructed outside in this European country for like a minute and a half scene because it's not that long. But they went through all that trouble, flew all the crew overseas, came up with all these alien designs just for 5 minutes. I mean, 2 minutes. But I love everything about it. And then we get the KX, which let's just call them the K2 droids, right? We love K2, but this wasn't him. And it goes again, he has this show trooper. What are you doing here? You're sweating too much to be a tourist. I just want to go to the store. It's right there. I don't care. Hang him or hang around. And he just chokes him.
Yeah.
Pretty,
which great use of the flashbacks, like,
yes.
you know, very, very restrained, very good story writing of like, they show us Clem hanging and then that gives you like so much more context when Andor, like there starts being fear in his voice right towards the end where he's like trying to get the stormtroopers' attentions, like tell them you meant just like wait around. Watch, not hang. And it's like he must be, when I rewatched that episode, I was like, oh, this is like he is reliving that moment and he's like, I wasn't even trying to be a rebel and I'm gonna face the same fate just like my dad did.
I have it here. Cassian, same as Empire, hung his dad, same thing. And then on the show that was yesterday, Nor Hall, our friend that was here a few weeks ago, she said, great that one of the first time we see this K2 droid grabs Cassian by the neck. And then in Rogue One, the first time we see K2 is when he grabs Jyn Erso by the neck and then just slams her to the floor to say, hey, you're being rescued. They just love going for necks. They know it's one of our weak
nice
spots.
little soft spot. Like.
Do you like, I'm sure, but because as soon as we get that scene with the ISB and Yularen, and then just give me your thoughts on him showing up, when they start saying, we're going to tighten our fist, we're going to make our presence known, as soon as that scene ends, is when we have, I've heard the name of Luthen's kind of assistant at the shop, that she gets to this terminal looking for Val. That's the first time we see stormtroopers. Like, we're here. Then when it cuts back to Aldhani, that's when we get the Star Destroyer. It's now over the planet. And then, of course, the Shoy troopers on Niamos. The Empire didn't wait. As soon as they said, okay, we're done playing, we're going to be out there, boom, they're there. And they're making their presence known. As if there's a lot of protests, as we know. We know that 2 days after protest, the police is going to show up in force everywhere. And, of course, by midnight, things escalate. But do you enjoy how quickly the Empire is starting to feel kind of put themselves out there so people kind of remember that there's the one in charge? And did you get psyched when you saw Yularen? Did you know it was Yularen there?
I had no idea. So yeah, we're on the same page. Like every time I see the ISB, you know, like, which also, by the way, reminds me of the Death Star 2 opening that the Falcon flies in. So yeah, every time I see that building, I'm just like, okay, this is Deidre, this is Blevin, this is Colonel Pendergrass. Like, Yularen is there for, you know, for fans, and it's also there to remind folks that like there is another structure and there are other people doing other things. But I did not catch that it was him until I started seeing the tweets of this person and this animated character have the exact same handlebar mustache. Like, oh, okay, I get it. But yeah, for me, like the way that they quickly move in, I love that scene, and I love how they really spell it out. Like we know the sentencing thing will come into play at the end of that episode, so you get to see it come into fruition. But the tax part for me is what really made me raise an eyebrow, because the charge is any sector that is known for harboring partisan activity will now be levied, like have a tax levied against them that is equal to 5 times the amount stolen. We know that they stole 80 million credits, so we're talking about like $400 million credits worth of money that is going to be vacuumed out per sector. And the way that the Empire tells you you're harboring activity is if the Bad Batch did something somewhere in the galaxy, the Empire is going to turn around and be like, oh, it's because you're harboring them. And that may or may not be the case, but like they don't get a choice. And now they're going to be financially under the heel of the Empire.
Yeah, even when at that same scene, he says, and if you're throwing not a party, but there's a celebration or something that the rebels use as a way to get together, do something, that counts. And that's what happened to Cassian. Some people were running, oh, you're a part of this. So this used to be 6 months. It's 6 years now. He got like 3 different charges. I can't remember the other 2. And then almost got, hey, don't fight with the courts because you'll get another one. Then just bring it up with Palpatine.
Yeah.
See, they know. He was arrested while Mexican. Yes, space Mexican. Mo is adding, they blame everything on the partisans without thinking there could be other rebel groups forming. Yes, that's why you need more Deidras, like you said.
Because even Andor made the point when he was being recruited by Luthen, when Luthen's like, oh, you think you know me? And he's like, yeah, whatever. You're partisan. You're rebellion. Like, I don't care. I don't know. But Luthen is like, I'm not really any of those. So yeah, there's other squads forming, but the Empire's just like, again, parallel to the real world, right? They're just the first scapegoat. So for the Empire, it's the partisans. In the real world, you pick your issue, but we could flip through frankly, different Fox News channels and find like, okay, it's this group today and it's that group tomorrow and it's this other group, but like they're so eager. Like those ISB scenes in episode 7 is, you can tell the eagerness of like, they've been waiting for this moment. They've outlined their scapegoats and now finally things got so bad that they can see like that they can finally say, oh, look, the partisans say they're here to help you, but all they did was use your celestial event to, kill and loot and steal. And then that's the rationale to then use the boot.
Yeah, and if they catch one, they'll say, see, we got it. All taken care of. He's a scapegoat. We caught him. The Empire makes you feel safe. So let's jump from there to Luthen, because he had 2 great scenes. First, he's talking, again, I forget the name of his assistant. But it's like... Clea. Thank you, Clea, and I'm sure Mo will put it on the chat soon. Clea. It's kind of, and I think he talked about on the previous episode. I wasn't careful because Andor kind of knows a little bit about me, and then we get Clea kind of going to Vel, basically saying we gotta take him out. We can't have Luthen on his ear, and she's like, oh, what about? Forgot the name of her friend. Cinta, thank you. And yes, Mo, thank you. Clea. And she's doing her part. Sending communications is just as bad as receiving them. We have a loose thread. Cassian Andor, who as Clem, can't have him going around. You'll take care of him. Oh, you mean kill him? Well, gotta do what we gotta do. Which I'm like, oh crap, this is gonna get serious now. When I saw it, I thought that it was Luthen telling Clea, hey, when you see Val, tell her she has to take care of Cassian. But then again, on Space Waffles, they were, all right, maybe Clea has her own intentions, and this is not part of Luthen's plan. Maybe she just is playing a different game. Do you think did you see it that way? Or do you think that Luthen is just, okay, I can't have Cassian out there because he knows me, he knows what's going on. We gotta get rid of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that I've been, the framework that I've been using as I go through Andor is really, this show is about showing us all of the little mistakes that both Andor and the Rebellion are going to clean up by the time you get to Rogue One. Because to get to that Rogue One Andor who like knows how to break into prisons, knows operational security, like knows all these little odds and ends, like each episode kind of shows me those mistakes. Like Luthen in the beginning is telling Andor, like, you shouldn't have a comm, like don't have something you can't control. Like, And it really feels like, for me, Clea represents that part of the rebellion where they just blew up Edu, right? Like, okay, we're not getting communication from Andor anymore. We don't need this. Like, let's just go ahead and blow up the facility and call it a day. Clea is kind of operating from that perspective of, hey, this network is about destroying things and not being able to put the pieces together. Andor could potentially put pieces together. Therefore, he must be eliminated. So yeah, I could see it either way, but I think I would be interested in it, and I think it could be more compelling if like Clea represents that kind of knee-jerk reaction in the rebellion that we see in Rogue One. Because the rebels past Rogue One, they don't do that, right? If their friends get captured, the next mission is saving their friend. It's not loose end, find someone in the prison who's like a DJ type character and has no qualms with killing them and call it a day.
Yeah. Scary Podcast is adding that Clea seems to be the head honcho. Maybe Luthen is the puppet or figurehead. It might be. But there's I'm hearing this more and more that they might not be at the same page, or maybe it's a different type of relationship. I might be right. They also said when we were talking about the ISB that this will be the first step of dissolving the Senate permanently, as we see in the original film when Tarkin announces it. And yes, it's going that way because, and we'll jump into the party in a minute when Mon Mothma and Ty Colmar talking, and he kind of says, you might not be too happy with my politics. And there's all the senators that kind of feel the same way. That's when the Empire might, okay, we gotta dissolve the Senate because too many people out there are dissenting, I guess. But before we get there, we get this scene with Mon Mothma and Luthen. She goes back, take the thing that freaking Perrin did.
The painting.
Yeah, Perrin liked it. I don't think he loved it. And then, oh, was this you? Did you do? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he goes, dude, you know what we were doing? You know what it cost? You weren't bringing in the money that we needed. This is the cost of it. And she's like taken aback, like, oh, I didn't know that we're going to go that far or that we were ready to start. Which, of course, as we go on and we meet Saw Gerrera and we bring Rebels again, well, everyone uses that tweet about, you know, you lost fighting by the rules or whatever. And we see a little bit of that because it's like she wants to do something, but she doesn't want to go, I guess, hit them directly. I don't know what her play is. But I didn't expect that this show would bring a new character like Luthen that was going to be so important to the rebellion and so kind of ahead, because he kind of puts Mon Mothma in her place a little bit in that scene. But I love also when she says, oh, this is going to get people hurt. And he's like, that's the point. And first I'm like, okay, oh, dude, come on, you can't say that. But no, that's the point, because when the Empire starts hurting people, that's where you can, again, hit them. Look what they're doing, that this is why we need to rebel. But she's not at that point. But I love that we're starting to get them. By the time we get to Saw Gerrera and his more extreme methods, we'll kind of understand why.
Yeah, I love that scene. Like, yeah, not only for like Luthen just putting Mon Mothma in her place and being the line while he's holding the cudgel is,
yes,
has anyone ever made a weapon that was never used?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, again, Andor, like, hats off to the writers, hats off to the producers. Like, that's another one of those lines where it's like, Star Wars or real world? But the acting for Mon Mothma is great because, like, folks have to remember going through this series, she's an Imperial senator and Imperial property is getting damaged. Like, yes, she's not a fan of the Empire, but she is also coming from the perspective of she operates on behalf of this government. She tries to play within that realm of rules. And she, like, I think deep down inside, like, she knows that ultimately she will have to cross that line. And I just don't think she was ready for it yet. Like, same thing as we've been watching her marriage slowly most likely crumble, because I don't see Perrin in Return of the Jedi. So
she's sending to Alderaan. I heard something's happening in Alderaan. Just go visit for a few days.
Send Bale my regards.
Oh well, people are gonna suffer. But yeah, I don't think we're seeing it crumble in slow time. I think that's happening pretty quickly. But I love that. That scene was amazing. Mon Mothma's voice was shaking, like, because again, she's trying on her side. I'm trying to move money. It's difficult now because they're watching me at the banks. I'm gonna bring someone in to do this. And he didn't wait. He's like, you weren't working, I'm gonna take money my own way. Like you said, she wasn't ready for that because she was still trying to play by the rules, move money around without people knowing. And they just hit, like you said, an imperial site, which then goes when we finally get to this party. We find a person she wants to bring in, this other senator, a friend of her, Ty Colma. And can I confide in you? Is this person or political? Political. And he's like, let me stop you right there. You might find my politics a little bit too strong for your taste. And then she goes, well, actually, you've liberated me because what I'm going to tell you, only 3 people know. And then she doesn't say, but kind of wants him to move some money around for this fake charity that she's going to make, which is also something that happens a lot in real life. I'm going to have a charity, and I'm just moving money around without people knowing. And usually it's for a bad cause. But I love that whole scene. I love this new character of Ty Colma that, he's a senator, seems to be kind of leaning to that rebellion, but we don't know too much about him. What were your takes on this scene? And then I want to ask you, who do you think those 3 people are that she's talking about? Because I heard different things and I have my own personal view of it. Did you enjoy that party scene? And she's like, smile, smile. We got to keep up appearances while I tell you that we're going to take down the empire, but keep smiling.
Yeah, I love the scene. It's very, I believe Tony Gilroy did House of Cards.
Yes.
And yeah, it was very reminiscent of like his wheelhouse, and the type of scenes that he's really good at crafting. Like the other thing is when you watch it again, every time Mon Mothma's looking over her shoulder, Perrin is in a different part of the party, and he's talking to someone differently, but he's always taking like a second or two
glances.
And just see where she is, who she's talking to. So it's very much like it's well done. It's good writing. It really reminded me of like 2016 to 2020 America, where folks are like, hey, like, how do you feel about this? And it's like, hang on, like, before I keep talking, let me just tell you my politics might be different. But yeah, as far as the 3 people, I think it's Bail and Luthen feel like 2. I have no clue who person 3 might be or is. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like trying to scratch my head and it's like, it's probably some obscure character, but
I took it very literal that she said only 3 people know, and I thought she was counting herself. So I thought it was her, Luthen, and then Clea, because I think Clea knows what's going on. So I took it like just those 3 people. I didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that Bail has to be here somewhere. We know he's involved in this since Revenge of the Sith. So Bail has to be one of them. I'm guessing Luthen, and then maybe a 3rd person will be a surprise at some point.
But I wonder, Scarif.
I know it's not Holdo. I know what you're doing. I mean, I don't mind Holdo, especially in Leia, Princess of Alderaan. Holdo is a great character.
Yeah, now I would say maybe Leia, because like putting the fact that the end of the Kenobi series has Bail and I forgot his wife's name.
Breya.
Yes. So Bail and Breya are like coming together and recognizing that, okay, Leia can lead in other ways. Maybe this is like their test, because we're a few years out from the Battle of Yavin at this point. So she is old enough. We know she's an Imperial senator by the time of A New Hope. So like maybe she's a junior senator. Maybe she's running for office at this point, and maybe this is one of those tests that Bail is putting before her of like, hey, you wanted to lead. You've already been to Fortress Inquisitorius, so you've seen the darkest parts of the Empire. Like, I want you to meet Mon Mothma, or I want you to like get her endorsement, or so. Like I could see something like that being the setup. And then Bail kind of like wink nudging Mon Mothma and saying, hey, if you want to take this to the next level, this could be a person to bring in, because the Empire won't be expecting such a new senator to already be in the deep end. Yeah.
I suck at timelines where they're all over the place. Amy adds, I think timeline wise, Leia doesn't get into this until about 2 years from this point, which I was going to say in Leia, I believe it's in Leia, Princess of Alderaan, she figures out what's going on, because on one of the missions, she goes to a planet. I can't remember why, but I think she goes to Crate, and that's why she knows that there's a place to go. Then in The Last Jedi, there's a place that Bale was using for one of his secret missions or whatever. So, and that's how she finds out that her parents are kind of involved in this rebellion. But I don't know where that fits on the timeline because it's too many stories to keep straight. But she'll be there soon enough. But I don't know if she's there at that point, but she's getting there.
What if the third person's Jar Jar?
It's Dark Jar Jar, right? That's what everyone's saying.
Yeah, I would love it for like, he already learned the consequences of not of like trusting too much. So like maybe now he's more like Misa keep a secrets. So then she's like, all right, I'll give you a test and tell
this
you
is your last chance, dude. You don't mess it up. This is your last chance. And then he goes with Perrin to Alderaan. Take Perrin with you. Show me a little play places over there.
Yeah. I think that's going to be my new backhanded compliment of like, hey, I have a house in Alderaan, like you should go to.
Yeah, I got this timeshare in Alderaan. I'm not using it this time of the year. Maybe we should go there for.
Yeah.
There's a astronomical effect. It was going to happen soon. It looks like a moon. An extra moon is going to show up. Just wait there.
Yeah.
But that whole party scene was great, and this episode was a different type of tension, right? Episode 6 was tension because you don't know what's going to happen with the heists and all the characters, and the tension here it's what's going to happen with the fallout of it, right? And we see the Empire starting to kind of crack down on everything. We have this party, and like you said, which I didn't. Now that I think about it, of course, that Perrin was moving because every time she kind of said smile, he was either talking to their daughter or talking to. He's there 15, 20 feet away, like just circling them. And she says, don't trust Perrin. She tells Taikoma, don't trust Perrin. So what's going to happen? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with them.
And I think like final point for me on the party is it highlights there's a book called Spying in America. It's written by Michael Sullick. He actually used to be the director for the CIA and would teach people clandestine service, so like how to actually do spy stuff abroad. And a point that he brought up in the book is that like spying is incredibly mundane. Like the TV shows, the movies will make it sound like James Bondy and cool gadgets, whatever. But like at the end of the day, spying is this really mundane, boring kind of job with a very high cost for failure. And I appreciated seeing Mon Mothma, like she is a spy in that moment. Like she's telling this man how to behave. She's trying to like keep up a persona and she's struggling with it. Like she thought it'd be easy to move money around. Turns out it's not. She thought it'd be easy to trust people. Turns out it's not. And I just love that we're seeing these kinds of scenes. And like, Mon Mothma started that day being nervous about blowing up Imperial stuff. And she ended that day, kind of leaning into it and like, okay, well, you're into doing more than just giving speeches against the Empire. So maybe I can do this. But still really kind of struggling because she's telling Tay smile, but she's not like doing that great of a job as well. Like as they're having those conversations and she's being like standoffish and this and that. So, she's figuring it out as she goes. And it's very reminiscent of like that spycraft.
Yeah, who didn't get a good lesson on spying? Anakin. That's a callback to our
last visit.
A callback to our Revenge of the Sith watch along where Anakin got called out on his first spy mission. Are you spying on me? Oh no, you got me. It's on spy training.
It wasn't my choice. I just want to make that clear.
Man, he just turns quick. Anakin couldn't have served in that rebellion, man. He would have turned. He wouldn't be smiling.
No. Yeah, or maybe he would have been too good. Like he's like, let's just go and like kill whoever we need to.
He'll try to be James Bond at that point. It's like, no, dude, just keep it cool. All right, thanks for joining. Scarif has to jump out. Thanks for joining us. They have their own show coming up later tonight. But yeah, I think we kind of covered most of it. We said before, this show is doing a great job of showing, yes, this is Star Wars, but everything that happens there happens in real life, and there's different ways that you can kind of react to it. And very interesting how the show is going to move forward. because there were a bunch of interviews that came out right before episode 7 kind of saying this is a standalone. So don't expect now that this is going to follow the next two. But it seems like the next few episodes, I guess, is going to be this breakout from the jail cell. I don't know if it'll be 2 more episodes, it'll be 3, it will be just 1 and something else. Do you think maybe now that the rebellion made their announcement, that kind of made their first move, are we now going to see that Luthen and Saw scene and see what Saw Gerrera and his partisans, what they're doing? Or is this still kind of way more closer to the end of the season? I'm hoping that we start seeing Saw Gerrera soon.
Yeah, I could see it as like maybe Saw being his own standalone arc, and maybe Luthen trying to like connect with another cell. And yeah, like I could see it that way, where it's like maybe Luthen is trying to find another cell to do another Aldhani type action, and he stumbles onto Black Squadron and Saw Gerrera, but then realizes that that's not the move. Because I keep thinking of Mon Mothma's line in Rogue One that Saw's militancy has created many problems. Yeah, and it's like maybe this is what we get in Andor to show what some of those problems are, but I don't think Saw and Andor will interact too much. Like if they do, maybe an arc, maybe an episode, but yeah, it seems like, because Andor makes the point in Rogue One of like, hey, we know how to find them, we're just trying not to get shot the moment we come through. So
last time we saw each other, it didn't go well.
Yeah, so it leads me to believe either you saw him for a moment and things didn't go out like the way you wanted them to, or you've never met him, but maybe you heard from Luthen or someone else that, hey, he's a tricky person to like work with.
Yeah, what we talked about yesterday, and I hadn't thought about it, is now that Cassian Andor is in prison, Luthen knows that he knows about me and might spill the beans. Let me go find Saw Gerrera to not break him out, but break into the prison to kill him. But maybe through it, he gets out and I don't know, something happens. Well, maybe that's why he goes and finds Saw Gerrera and Black Squadron, and he sends Elliot Tutu and his brother, hey, I got a little prison you need to destroy over here. And he kills a bunch of people, and that's when the Empire gets even angrier, and then kind of leads to Mon Mothma's message. But yeah, so I'm just gonna, 2 things I'm gonna complain about. Not one thing. It's not complain. I've been mentioning every time. I don't like the way the episodes end, because this episode ends with Cassian's in jail. He gets sentenced for 6 years. Could have been a great ending right there, but then he goes to our friend Cyril, his fancy cubes, pulls out, episode ends. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And I understand people. I'm not dumb. Might be showing that he has his own type of prison. He's in his own type of cell, working that job, not where he wants to be. Might be there for 10 years. People fall into jobs, or that's the whole thing for 20 years. So he might be showing Cyril's own type of prison. I get it. I don't know. It didn't fit for me, that ending. Every episode ends, I'm like, you should have ended differently. Yeah. But like I said last time, I should know about this already. I can't complain because it happens every time. I need to expect it. I gotta shut up about it. The last thing, I just want to get your thoughts on it. Are you enjoying the music? People are falling in love now that the Spotify released the first 4 episodes, the soundtrack. Everyone loves the music at the end. Are you liking the music for Andor? Does it fit in Star Wars, or does it matter as long as it fits with the show? So I'm kind of balancing it.
Yeah, that's fair. I have been looking forward to the music. I think there was an article that came either with the 3-episode premiere or right before it, where they mentioned that each episode will have the intro like reworked. And for me, I love that. Like, it works for me because it already cues me in a lot to like how the episode will be. I think all the episodes that have like more tension, or like the heist episode, the music is definitely much more like ramped up. And then all of the other episodes have like the 3-episode premiere. The first 2 are kind of sad and somber, and it's really giving you, it's giving you the backstory, and it's telling you like Andor's he didn't live this nice and privileged life. So I have been appreciating that. Does all the music work for me? I don't know. But I also think this is Disney trying to get away from like the John Williams epic sweeping scores, because you're not always going to have John Williams. And even if John Williams wants to make even a theme or two until the day he dies, like that day will come at some point. So I think this is them trying to explore like, okay, what else can we do? What can we do that's new or different? Or can we find, either can we find the next John Williams, or can we find like a suite of producers, and then depending if we're making a heist movie, we put this person in, or something more emotional, we put this composer in. So yeah, I think they're just playing around, and like I appreciate that. I think until we get another movie, I am very encouraged by the fact that Disney is playing with different producers and composers, and just kind of like shopping around. And hey, if you don't like the audio in a TV show, like that's fine. Like Mando only has 2 seasons. It's not 28 hours of movies or something that you have to love that composer. So when it works. Like Niamos, absolutely, like loved it.
No,
love
that's
that song.
Every tweet that's this past 2 days, every tweet that's about the soundtrack has a little clip of Niamos playing, which is a nice one.
Yeah, I was like, and maybe that's I know I'm speaking to another Floridian here, but I was like, that I could hear that in South Florida. I can hear that in Central Florida. Like you could play that over the Galaxy's Edge speakers, and I wouldn't know the difference, right?
Dude, they should. When you're walking in, just play that music, get you in the vibe. You're already sweating like hell. Dude, just put a trooper right there at the entrance in Orlando in the summer. Why are you sweating? Are you part of it? They'll get you in the mood real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The thing for me is I've been really enjoying the music because it fits the show. You can have, like you said, these rousing John Williams type themes in Andor because they don't fit. But at the same time, if I just listening to a song that let's say any song from this soundtrack starts playing, it's not going to jump on me. Oh, that's Star Wars. I know what that is, because Star Wars has a certain feel. Even Rogue One, having Michael Giacchino, it still felt like Star Wars. It had a lot of rousing kind of orchestra and whatever. This show doesn't have it. It's very sci-fi and very kind of thriller-like. So it fits for the show. It doesn't fit really what I think when I think about Star Wars music, but I think it's better that it doesn't, because if it's this type of, if you get the, I don't know, the Jedi theme or something when Cassian shows up, it's this doesn't fit. Can the Imperial March work when the ISB is there? Maybe, but it might not fit with everything else that's going. So I've enjoyed it. Doesn't scream Star Wars to me, but like you said, that's probably the point, and it's been working out.
Yeah, what I missed opportunity in my opinion is I felt like the music for the Aldhanis should have been something closer to like the Cloud Riders from Solo, with like that choral. Yes, like and maybe it'll show up later, because I think again that's one of those mistakes where the rebels in the Aldhani heist are using the celestial event as cover, but they don't let the Aldhanis in on the fact that they're doing that. Whereas again, you watch this episode is just a big reminder to go watch Rebels, folks. But you watch Rebels, and what do Hera, Kanan, and Ezra do every chance they get? They rile up the locals and are like, you should also fight the Empire. And like, don't worry about what we're doing, but like, yes, you should definitely fight the Empire.
Yeah, because if we go back to Aldhani, we know the Dani people are going to be suffering right now. They're taking out on them. So, and they're going to be like, we didn't do anything. We're looking at the stars. Rebels. All right, so that I think that brings an end to our Andor talk, episode 7 announcement. A great standalone, if people want to call it standalone. I think it was a very good bridge between everything that happens, and we'll see what happens with episode 8. I don't want to start ranking episodes, but so far, Andor hasn't missed. Very interesting to see. We're now in the back half of the season, so we'll see where it goes. All right, and with that, we're going to jump to our other segment where we talk about other things that are not Star Wars, A World Between Fandoms, and I don't have my graphic. There it is. I apologize always. The TARDIS is very loud. But Andres, I don't know if you've watched any of these other shows. Rings of Power is done, so I cannot talk about Lord of the Rings. She-Hulk is done. The only thing out there right now is House of the Dragon. Have you watched House of the Dragon? Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
Yeah, so I jumped in late to House of the Dragon,
Mhm.
just because the ending of Game of Thrones, I won. I had it spoiled
Yeah.
for me.
Oh no.
I had a coworker back in the day who loved reading the spoiler sites, and literally one day he was just like, he's very contrarian, love him to
Mhm.
death, but he knew that I wasn't trying to get spoiled. So if memory serves me correctly, he like yelled from a hall across a hallway of like, "This is what happens," and I was like,
Oh
"Ah!"
man.
And then watching it happen on screen, I was like, "Ah!" So I've
You gotta send him to
slowly,
Alderaan next time.
yeah, I know, yeah,
Sorry?
I was like, that's the first time I was like, I need this timeshare. Um, but yeah, I caught myself up. I think I started after like episode 4 or 5 had already
Mhm.
premiered and was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
I I enjoy it, but I'm also enjoying it mostly because I'm casually watching it.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
yeah, like I'm not super committed to any of the Targaryens. I'm not like team green or black. Like they're all terrible, right?
Yes.
It's a
I see
medieval
one.
world, and they're like, of course everyone's terrible because people were terrible in medieval times. It's like, great. If that's the case, then
Mhm.
I'm rooting for none of them, and I'm just trying to see all the deaths.
It's funny like that you say that because I've seen that somewhere just a few weeks ago. People saying that it's difficult to kind of love the show because you don't root for everyone or anyone because everyone's terrible. And it's right. None of these people deserve the Iron Trap apart from Viserys, which you can say that you didn't care too much about your wife when she was giving birth. Afterwards, you were yeah, of course, I always loved her, but save the baby, wife. Sorry, we need an heir. But yeah, no one's kind of, there's no Jon Snow or Daenerys, whoever you root for in Game of Thrones. We don't have that. I love
Yeah.
a bunch of the Targaryens, but yes, they're not the best. But are you caught up with the last episode?
Yes, yes, with
Okay.
the coronation or
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I like to do here just not to spend too much time on it because if not, we'll be here another hour. Kind of three things that we liked, one thing that we didn't. I'll start just real quick. I love the music in this episode because I can't remember, even though I rewatched it yesterday just to remember the little thing notes. It's like this piano playing, just like three different notes. It just worked great, and they goes throughout the whole episode, all the way to the coronation. I love the way they use music in this episode. I love the coronation. In fact, seeing all the rows of sword when Aegon, the Aemon, I don't know. Names are difficult.
No, Aegon,
Aegon, right?
because he's named after the dude that had the vision, which
Yes,
is why
she
Alicent thinks
thinks.
Viserys is
Yeah,
naming him as okay. All right, good.
yeah. So Mo is saying, yeah, the music video was so well. So I love the coronation, just the way it looked, because I love fantasy. Fantasy is my favorite thing, and it gave you that kind of feel, this medieval fantasy world that maybe not everything is horrible. So I love all these swords kind of then just falling down as he's walking. Um, I love that good night, Sir Harold, when at the beginning of the episode, when they're, oh, the king is dead. Also, finally, we can move with our plan that we've been working behind the queen's back that she doesn't know anything about it. And then freaking Kristen Cole, which just freaking kill him already because I hate him. But then Sir Harold is the only one that hasn't, one of the few that has an age, kind of say, I can be part of this. I'm here. I protect the king. We don't have a king. I'm not gonna be a part of this. Take his coat and just walks out. It's like, thank you. There's one good guy. At least there's one good guy in House of the Dragon. And of course, the ending. It's just the dragon comes out. Rhaenys had had it. You kept me here. I can't kill you because Game of Thrones happens already, so I cannot spoil that. Can break canon. But I just love that she shows up. It's like, if I wanted to kill you, I could kill you just like that. I'm just gonna let you live for a little bit. And finally, Aemon Targaryen, which I don't like. I'm beginning one of those that you love to hate. Like, I'm liking this actor more and more. I didn't like them when they were younger kids. He's starting to grow on me a little bit. The actor, I still hate the character, but I think I'm starting to see where he's coming from. So those are kind of my likes. What were some of the highlights for you this last episode?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with the cinematography. It was very dark. There's a lot of like people getting put in positions they don't want to be in, and the camera does a good job of showing you that. Like even when Rhaenys is trying to leave and then she realizes she can't, and then she realizes that she's near her dragon, like seeing those pieces add up. Eric and Arik, and like how the camera just hangs on one of the brothers as he's like, I'm not down for this anymore. Like those moments for me were very much, again, a reminder of like, you're not really supposed to like any of them. And all of them are making choices that are not great, because this episode just solidifies that Westeros is going to go to war. And no one's thrilled about it, but everyone's also like, but I am willing to die for this belief, whichever side you happen to land on. I also love like the theme of just how unsavory all of it was. Like Alicent wants her son to be in control, but she doesn't want her son to talk to her dad.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, all of those scenes were like, okay, like, you could just make your friend the queen and be done with it if you don't want if you don't want your dad's plans to come into because he is the hand. So it's like, and she's a queen, which she could walk into a small council meeting if she wanted to, but she's not going to be invited now that they have a king and the whole court. So yeah, it was very like, I appreciated that they leaned into it. Again, they're not giving you a hero. Like Alicent wants her son to succeed, but she's not for the reasons that would make him a quote unquote good king. It's just because she has her ideas about how this is going to go.
Yes, I was watching the episode. I hate how much I enjoying it, because I'm not Team Green, because I hate Otto Hightower, because from episode 1 he's just maneuvering to get first her daughter. Oh, the king is not feeling too well. Oh, go talk to the king for a little bit. Dude, you're just pimping your daughter, and she's like 14. So what he's been playing for I don't know, 15, 16 years at this point. So I hate Otto Hightower. Again, the guy playing him is doing a great job. But the episode, just like you said, all the build up, the camera movement, the way the cinematography kind of follows the characters, kind of gives you that impression that, all right, people are moving the chess pieces to see which side they're going to align with. It's going to be someone from Alicent's family. Either it's going to be Aegon, but is it going to be what she wants for him you're going to be a good king, you're not going to go kill your cousin or whatever, or is it gonna be with Otto saying, hey, if she's there, we gotta take her out because she's gonna come for us, and they got a bunch of dragons. So I love all that kind of cat and mouse that we got in this episode. Even though I hate Kristen Cole, I love that we got to see the twins, Eric and Arik, try to get him, and then Kristen Cole and the Aemon trying to find him. And then I love that Eric, I think it was Eric, kind of is showing his brother. Aegon is not a good person. Look where he comes, where kids are made to fight. That's one of his sons. They're just laying there, one of many. And I don't want to be part of it. And then by the end, he kind of rescues Rhaenys. And if you've seen that trailer for the next one, he goes to Dragonstone and kind of pledges his allegiance to Rhaenyra. So I also enjoy that now we have this other, because they took Harwin Strong from me, which I loved. He's gone. So now we have this other knight on the other side. So it's a great episode to kind of, okay, everything's set up for the finale. Everyone has their dragons. Everyone has their knights willing to die for who they think is their king or queen. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, fair. I guess like dislike, I appreciated the end of it. Of like the dragon and showing up, but it was I dislike it when movies and shows kind of telegraph what's gonna happen, so, like really blatantly. I kind of like that whole like, oh, you have to tease it out, but they were going back to the Sept, and I was like, this is very Game of Thrones, where like they're all in one place and someone's gonna take things into their own hands, and it doesn't quite play out that way, right? But once I saw Rhaenys looking to the staircase, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like everyone's in one little cramped room and everything's about to blow up. But because of Game of Thrones, the building still has to like survive, but it's almost the same, like shot for shot. So
when they start making everyone kind of force them into this keep or whatever, it's like I was starting to think, wait, are the dragons kept under it? I think the dragons are gonna be there, and that's when I started. Okay, I think she's gonna get her dragon just escape. I didn't expect her to just blow up the middle because I thought, okay, you're there, just kill everyone. But of course, you can because in 200 years, Game of Thrones happened. So
yeah.
All right. But yeah, so far it's been a great season. Tomorrow actually is going to be the finale, so we'll see how that ends.
Yeah, or it was yesterday if you're terminally online because someone leaked it, and fans are already talking about it. So
yes, I'm glad that I haven't run into any spoilers. I heard that there's spoilers already. Somehow people found out.
Entire scenes. My understanding is the whole episode is out. I have not seen the whole episode, but I have seen enough scenes that I'm like, oh, okay, something will happen. But I don't remember everyone's names, so I'm just like, cool.
That's a cool thing about everyone has the same name, so you don't know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, two blondes are mad at each other. Okay.
Yeah, and they all look the same because Daemon and Aemon now look. If it's not for the eye patch, you can say have the same straight hair, but
yeah.
All right, that kind of does it for our show today. Thank you, Andres, as always, for being here. It's a pleasure and great talking Andor with you. We'll have to do it again at some point soon, like we always try to do. Where can people find you out there? Anything you're working on?
So folks can find my stuff. I am at AAA_photog. And that's where I post my own, like I've been doing my own little Andor reviews. So I'll post them there. And then for our podcast, that's at Sithty Minutes. We're Star Wars, we're politics. We weave the two as much as possible. And that is, we have our own Twitter account. The handle's down there. And then same thing, you can find us wherever podcasts are found and distributed.
Yeah. Well, again, Andres, thanks for being here. And Oti will return next week. We hope he had a emergency business travel he had to do. I think Wednesday or Thursday he was told, so he couldn't be here. He'll be back next week. I believe our guest next week will be our friend Buck as we jump into episode 8 of Andor. And thanks to everyone in the chat, Mo, Amy, and Ro for being here. Andor's getting heat up. When are we getting Saw? What's going to happen? Give me more aliens. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next week. As always, stay safe. Be safe. And may the force be with you.